This is a conversation, I think, that happens more often than we think. So we're going to watch two videos from this woman, and we're going to talk about the subject matter that she discusses when they're over. First video.
So am I the wrong one now that my daughter has graduated and she's 18? I told her that she has to start paying rent. She has to pay for all her own activities, her gas, her food. I told her that I will do a breakfast, lunch, and dinner thing, but anything in between or other than that, she needs to decide or contribute to the food herself. Any and everything else is now her responsibility. Her insurance, this, so that she is required to now get a job and go to school. I told her that with her classes, she needs to be at least working 30 hours a week plus going to school full time, so that she could try to make ends meet, because now that she's 18, it's not free. You know, when she hadn't graduated yet, it was still time, I was still helping, but now that she's graduated and done, free ride is over. It's time to adult. What? She wasn't very happy, but it's like, hello, what about the people that don't have families to help out? And as soon as they turn 18, the families kick them out. So now it's her time to, act like she's renting a. Okay, so the other day I made a video saying that I told my daughter that she was going to have to start paying $300 a month rent plus utilities. I would provide breakfast, lunch, and dinner, but she needs to go to college and work on top of paying all her expenses. Now, that didn't go over very well. Everyone's like, well, if my daughter was in high school or college, I wouldn't be making them pay anything, blah, blah, blah. If they were working, they could just pay for their own necessities, blah, blah, blah. Anyhow, so what do you guys think about this? What do you guys think about making her pay rent and then putting it aside for her for when she does ever decide to move out? So, for instance, telling her, hey, you have to pay $300 a month rent, and then turn around and putting that in a savings account for her, so that whenever she does decide to move out, she will have the funds to do it without her obviously knowing. She would be thinking that she's paying rent, and then in the end, if she ever did move out, it would be giving her the account with the money in it, and then saying, here, this is for your moving expenses. What about that?
Okay, here's my thought process on it. They graduate high school, they go to college, whatever college that is, whether that is a 4-year university and they're living on campus and coming home maybe a weekend a month, a weekend every 2 months, and then coming home on, like Christmas break and summer break, whether it's a community college and they're staying at home and they're doing the community college thing, whether it's a trade school and they're staying at home and doing the trade school thing. If they're going to school post high school and they're passing their classes, I don't think that they should be made to work. I think that their job is to focus on their education. If they want to work, fine. Our daughter is in her summer break between junior and senior year. She wants to work. She's working. We're not telling her she has to. That's not a requirement. If she wasn't passing her classes, we would have some form of conversation as to what that looks like and how we're going to figure out what the next phase in life is going to be. If they're not going to college, if they graduate high school and they're like, I got to figure out what it is I'm going to do, and they get a job, doing something, it's probably not the thing that they're going to end up doing long term, but they got a job. Do you charge them rent? Maybe, right? Because you want them to be able to save up so that they can get out on their own. But you also want them to begin to learn what life is like. And if you're not going to go to college, this is what life is like. You got to get a job. You got to get a place to live, things of that nature. I do like the idea, if they're not in school and they're just trying to figure out what they're going to do with their life, and so they got some job somewhere, that they pay some rent. I like the fact that you're willing to do breakfast, lunch, and dinner. and that they pay some rent, but it goes into a savings account for them, that you don't actually utilize that money to keep the house going. And I know that there are a lot of people out there that are going to watch the video and go, but hey, it's tough living, and if they can contribute, they should contribute. And I understand that. I understand that we are fortunate enough to be in a position where we don't have to make our kids do that. So from our perspective, we wouldn't do that. We would put it away in a savings account if that were the case. But you put a parameter on of going to school full time and working 30 hours a week. I think that's a lot. I think that a college student should, if they want to, maybe get a part-time job that's way less than 30 hours a week if they can, and focus more on the school so that they have some spending money. You said you're willing to do breakfast, lunch, and dinner, right? They need to go. I don't disagree with you on you're going to go out and go to a movie, go out to dinner, go to do this, go to do that, go to get a tattoo, whatever the case. You're paying for that. With our daughter in being in college, we're still paying for her insurance. She pays for her gas on her car. She pays for the upkeep, the oil changes, the wiper blades. If something big happens, something breaks on the car and it's an $1,100 repair, yeah, we're going to help out. So, no, I think that if they're in school, they're passing their classes, I think that I want them to focus on school, because that we've always told our kids from kindergarten on through high school, school is your job. We have jobs to go do to pay for everything that you have, the house, the electricity, the food, the clothes, all of the vacations, all of that. Your job is to get an education so that you can go out into society and do what everybody else does, be a productive member of society and stand on your own 2 feet. And if their education, if their career field requires them to have an education to do that, then I want them to focus on that first, especially if I financially can do it. If it's not going to really change us in any way, shape, or form, you got another mouth to feed during the summer. We're already been paying the insurance on the car, just keep paying, that type of shit. I want them to focus on that education. And then, once they graduate college, and they're like, all right, well, I'm going to hang around the house for a couple of years. Well, now you're going to start working, and you're going to start acting like you're in real life. And maybe that is putting it in a savings account for them, so that a year or two down the road when they go to move out, boom, they've got a big chunk of money to help them out. On the flip side, if they went to school and they racked up a bunch of student loan debt, you might want to let them stay at the house, not pay you rent, not pay you utilities, but rather put every dime they make for a year or two into the student loans to get rid of that shit. To me, that would be a smarter, more feasible financial option.